Hello and welcome to Iriscope TV, the YouTube channel for www.eggmagazine.net. That is www.eggmagazine.net. Welcome and let's get started.
Okay. My name is Brigitte Dzogbenuku, an army brat, as they call us.
Okay.
Raised in the army. I went to Wesley Girls High School, University of Ghana. Currently, I'm the executive director of Mentoring Women Ghana, a non-profit I founded.
Okay.
And I'm also the managing director of Ve Flavor Industries, which works with women in the Ve traditional area in the Volta region. Who produce palm oil, what we call jomi, and I package and market it in the city.
So a few more details. What did you study at the university?
I studied languages.
Languages.
So I studied French and Swahili.
I see.
I speak Swahili very well because I lived and worked in Tanzania after that.
Interesting.
I speak some French, passable.
Okay.
French, yes.
All right. And then, do you have a website or so for your NGO and or your business?
I do have a website for the NGO. It's www.mwghana.org.
Okay.
We are also the flag bearer for the Vital Voices Global Mentoring Walk, which is held every year around 8th of March, International Women's Day.
Okay.
All over the world, in about 66 countries. And we
oh.
are the flag bearer in Accra for that. So you see a lot of activity there on that. We also organize other empowerment programs for girls, young girls, and women.
One day we'd like to talk to you about that as well. Maybe come and see how you...
March for the next mentoring walk, global mentoring walk.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yes.
So now, all right. So you went from, or you are in the business of empowering females. You've done that for girls. You have this particular NGO, and then you found yourself in the political arena with a running mate. Tell us something about how that all came about, and if you have any interesting anecdotes.
I was very vocal on social media, criticizing the government, talking about everything that was going wrong. And there was a lot going wrong. Education was going wrong, health was going wrong, everything, infrastructure, the economy by itself, power, agri, talk about it. Everything seemed to be good. I used to say anything that can possibly go wrong with this government will go wrong.
And this government, you mean?
In the past government, the NDC,
John Mahama's
government. So I was very vocal on Facebook, and I would, comment on almost everything. Then along came the Occupy movement, where there was this Occupy Flagstaff House thing, and I thought, well, I'll go for that first demonstration. A friend had advised that, if it's at Flagstaff House, don't go because it's a security zone and you'll get yourself hurt. So I thought, okay, I wasn't going to go. And then the next day I heard it was at Sutherland Park. So I thought, well, why not? So I got there and I made myself heard. Actually, when I got there, I think a lot of people had seen my posts on Facebook, my rants, if you want to call them that. And then they saw me. Some of the media houses saw me there. So they all shoved their mics in my face. And indeed, that morning I was incensed because I didn't have running water and I didn't have electricity.
On the same
day?
And
a few days before, we didn't have fuel, if you recall. So I told them exactly what I thought. And it turned out I became one of the faces of Occupy. So, of course, I had a backlash from that. I was found on the front page of some tabloid insulting me and saying scathing things about me.
Oh, wow.
It was a bit shocking, actually, because I'd never experienced anything like that. And then after that, I didn't recoil. I still used to talk. But when the Progressive People's Party thought they wanted a running mate, Progressive People's Party likes women, and likes to promote women and likes women in the forefront and likes to hear about women. So they asked me, and at the time, I must say it didn't take me much to say yes.
Did they call you? Did they email you?
They had been calling me and sending me messages, but I wasn't in the country. So They called me once and tried to talk, and I said, look, I'm not in the country. And said, okay, when are you back? I said, in another 3 weeks or so. And it was back and forth. Are you back yet? No, not yet, and all that. And then when I came back, I said, look, when I come back, I'll meet with you. But they didn't say what they were calling me about.
Okay.
I figured that it was about that.
Okay.
Or it was about politics. I didn't think that it was to ask me to be running late. I thought maybe they wanted me to write something or say something, speak, you know. But I like the PPP and I like Dr. Papa Kwesiendo.
Why?
Well, the first and foremost reason is I don't like any of the other parties. We had seen them in power, and I don't think that they had done much for this country. So I had credibility issues when it came to them. I think that the level of corruption with either party was obvious, and frankly, I was tired of the propaganda of the politics rather than doing. You know, if we can talk about it well enough, then it's good enough, rather than if we do getting it done right. So I didn't like that style of politics. Also, I agree that there had to be a change of government. So whatever I could do to contribute to that change, I was ready to do.
Okay.
So when I was asked, the only thing I said to them was I need to ask members of my family because they tend to be affected and all that. They go and bring them into the story, which is really not very good for our politics here, but you know. So coincidentally, it happened to be, well, what I said was, these people who asked me, neither of them was Dr. Indom. So I said, well, let me see Dr. Indom and see whether our personalities actually gel before I, you know, say yes, because there's no point working with someone that you have a personality clash with. So a week before my birthday, I said to him, and I'm not going to say when that was, but I said to him, I met him, and I said, well, technically I'm interested in doing this, but let me speak to my family and see where the objections come from. I spoke to my sister. She wasn't very keen for me to do it. But I could understand that she wasn't, because she doesn't like the politics of this country, first of all. And secondly, it's out of love, you know, out of care. You don't like when a sister, she's my only sister, is put on, you know, the spot or puts in any position where, you know, she's a target of insults and all that. So she said, don't do it. You know, people will say, and I said to her, I don't believe in what people, I don't go by people will say. I go by what I want. And then on my birthday, we all sat to have dinner in my house, I told them, hey, this is what I've been asked to do. My brother who comes next after my sister, he said, go for it. Do it, you know. What have you got to lose and all that? And I thought so too. What have I got to lose?
So when you signed on, what did you think then and now that still needs changing?
Oh, there's a lot. Our politics still needs changing. You know, we have good people in this country who know what ought to be done right. Okay. But because of politics, they won't speak up. And because we have allegiances to certain parties, even when they're doing the wrong thing, we tend to back them. I think that has changed a little bit. And maybe we are making small steps. I want to say little strides, because strides are big. We're making small steps, and maybe one day, eventually, people would know to speak the truth, as one of the media men said, speak the truth to power. If it's wrong, it's wrong. So that has still got to change. There's a lot that has got to change. It's the fact that it's my party does not mean that, you know, it's the right thing to do. If it's wrong, it's wrong.
In terms of philosophy then, when you say things need to change and things need to be done right, how does what you think influence what you think? Let's pick a particular issue that you think needs, a specific issue that needs changing. And based on the philosophy of yourself and or the party, this is how you would approach it, whereas others are doing it in a different way.
You see, People say, oh, the party campaigned on this promise. And therefore they've come to power, and the party feels that they must fulfill that promise by hook or by crook. You know, something has got to be done. I don't know, they must do it so that their campaign promise is fulfilled. But it's not only a campaign promise that must be fulfilled. It feeds into people's lives and well-being.
So taking a specific example of something that was, the box was ticked, but maybe it wasn't done effectively. Let's pick a particular topic and then address it how maybe either one of the parties are just sort of going through the motions rather than solving the endemic problem.
An example that comes to mind is the free SHS, for example.
Yes.
It's been implemented. And this was a big promise that the campaign the NPP's campaign rode on. Yes, it's been implemented, but how well has it been implemented? Was everything put in place? Well, maybe you can't put everything in place, you've got to start somewhere. But we can't just do it and say there's free SHS and just leave it there. You know, there are schools without the appropriate or adequate amenities or facilities to accommodate free SHS. Let's face it and let's deal with it. And at least put in the basics instead of shifting people around because they've spoken up or firing them or, you know. The politics behind it is bigger than the solution to the problem.
Okay.
And that is sad. Because we want one up on our opponents, we'll do it and shame them, if you like. But we can't run a country and people's lives like that. You know, and we need to run on truth, we need to run on reality. And at the end of the day, it's the Ghanaian who has to benefit from it. So I find that a lot of the politics is like that.
Okay.
It is not, you know, it's, there are promises and we talk big and then we find that, oh, now we have the power and we have to fulfill it.
So most people would term that the NPP is center-right, the NDC is center-left. Where does the PPP stand on,
well,
on the spectrum?
PPP says, we say we are not an ideological party, we are pragmatists.
All right.
We deal with the issues practically.
Okay.
And as much as I don't like to make the party about one man, you can tell that the leader of the party or the flag bearer has a certain vision. Whatever Dr. Papa Kwesi does in his private businesses, you can see it's about improving the lives of people. Of course, everybody will turn a profit, but at the end of the day, people also benefit. And for me, I mean, in my little way, working with the women in the Volta region, I'm happy. Yes, today I was speaking to one of them and she said, oh, we had to go for a funeral here, we had to go for a funeral there. In the past, they couldn't because they didn't have the means, you know. But now they are working and they are making money to improve on their lives. And at the end of the day, it should be about the people seeing some solution to their problems rather than chalking political points.
So where do you see the NDC went wrong in that regard? I mean, that they...
Well, I don't like to talk about the NDC because they went wrong in many ways. The corruption was rife and they were rubbing our faces in it. I mean, they were rubbing in our faces. We could all see. Many things, like I said, there were energy issues, there was social and developmental issues, you know. Agric, which was one sector which should grow, it's our primary sector. I think it grew by 3% or something like that. So the NDC had become negligent of the people's needs and had become very arrogant in their own desire for wealth. And they didn't hide it. I mean, hiding it is even worse, but they didn't hide it, and that made people see that, you know, this was not a party reference. Even their own faithful, loyal voters and followers were not, I don't want to. They were disillusioned. They were disillusioned.
So, our recent political history has been a waltz between the NPP and the NDC. We're yet to see the NPP, the PPP, the triple Ps, in office. What is not being done right? What could be done better? And when do you expect that magic? In Ghana, we have this thing that third time around you win.
Well,
when do you think that will happen?
I don't know that anything is being done wrong or
Okay.
something is not being done right. I think that culturally and socially, the country is very divided along tribal lines and along party lines.
Okay.
And it's been, I mean, the PPP is actually a fairly new party that came out of the CPP, if you remember.
Yes, you're right.
So it's fairly young. I think the first time was 2012. We need to grow. We need to have a following. And I keep saying to members of my party, we don't need to run the party like the other parties. We can't beat them at that game that they play. All the yelling and all the insults and all the, we can't beat them at that. At least I can't. I can't do that, play that indecency in politics. We need for the Ghanaian to understand that, we deserve better. And it will take time until the average Ghanaian stops looking at the personal, selfish way of winning politics. So if someone in my tribe or in my party wins, then I'm going to benefit personally. Rather than, if this party wins, it's a benefit to my community and to my people and to my children, and we have to work hard, and that might take time, or it might take the Ghanaian testing the PPP, and it should start from your community or your constituency. Try putting a PPP parliamentary candidate in parliament.
I totally agree with you on that.
And if there's a parliamentary candidate in parliament, it's not only good for me personally or for my party or for you who voted for that person. It's good for the whole of Ghana, because this rubber stamping that goes on in parliament will change. There'll be at least that third force who might say, you know what, I don't think so, or let's look at it differently. Rather than, somebody is paying money and all the, and we've seen that before, where both sides of the political divide were benefiting from something, so they kept quiet. I think it was something to do with ex gratia or something like that. So they kept quiet and they collected the money. So now we, the electorates, become the ones who suffer. But if you put a third party in there, who, if you like, you'll say, NPP says, let's do it this way. NDC says, well, let's look, okay, maybe we should do it. And there's a third PP person who says, I'll tell.
So why hasn't the PP has no
candidate.
seat?
We came close.
Yes. Where? In which place did you come close?
In a few areas, I think of Wasia Yorubi.
Okay.
There was a candidate, the Elmina KEA, Commander Edina Ibrahim.
Also, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some parts of the north, we were quite close. But I think in the last elections there was a panic. The panic was that if we put, there was this wasted votes idea.
Yes.
That if you gave your votes to PPP, they weren't going to win anyway. And because you wanted the NDC out, you just give your votes to the NPP who are likely to win anyway. I think the Ghanaian also needs to understand that, elections are not the lottery.
Okay.
You don't vote for the person you think is going to win. You vote for the person you want to win. I hope you can tell the difference.
Of course.
So the lotteries, you have numbers 1 to something 100. You think number 7 is going to win, so you put your money there. You think it's not that you want number 7 to win. Yes, you may want it to win as well, but in politics, you don't vote for the person who is the winner, if you like.
Yeah, who is seemingly destined to be the winner.
So, I want to belong to the winners.
Yes, yes.
No, you vote for the person you want to win. So if you think that I must put my vote here because that will work better, that will give me solutions in the long run, you put your votes there. In the last elections, it was obvious everybody wanted the NDC out. And they felt that, the NPP would be the one to kick them out.
Yeah.
But I dare say, if the PPP voters had voted for us as well, for the supporters had voted for us as well, we might have gone into a runoff. It's likely we could have gone into a runoff if they had all, supported us and voted.
But would it have been a runoff between MPP and NDC?
It would have been a runoff between NPP and NDC.
Okay,
but
all right.
There was also a likelihood that we might have gotten some candidates in a few seats.
Okay.
That should be our drive for what to do next, to get more candidates into seats. It's not only the president who makes the government, So if we do have some parliamentary candidates.
Yes, and there, I think I totally agree with you on that, and I think that should be the case for both CPP and PPP, that they should concentrate more on getting seats in parliament, because it is the debate in governance that is as important as being the person in power. Because the debate, as you said, if there's any collusion between parties because they have a mutual interest, and there's a third consenting and dissenting vote or dissenting voice, then at least is the trusting that the debate will carry the day, and that citizens will then make their voices felt as to the direction of that debate. Because as it stands now, it's just a waltz between two parties where one is either trying to trip up the other.
Yes.
So I think I would like to talk to you some more at another time on this issue about, the parliamentary direction that, the other party should take. Personally, I get frustrated with when the regular media just bring in the MPP and the NDC, and then it practically shuts out the voice of other parties. But I also think that the other parties they're not having a good message to get people to hear them. And I don't know whether it is just the fault of that messaging or what else.
I don't think it's just the messaging, and it might not be entirely true that we're not getting out the message. I think what has happened is that people don't want to take a risk.
Okay.
Yes, they don't know what that involves. The other thing is, I need to think about this properly and say it properly. They are used to the status quo. They don't understand what government means or democracy and politics means. They seem to think that I belong to this tribe, I must vote this way. If this tribe is in power, it benefits me and my people. So we need to go beyond, and I think it's changing gradually. People are starting to understand. Remember, our democracy is quite young, so it's taking time for people to come this far to know that my votes can actually get a government out if I don't like them. It also taken time for them to start to understand that government owes me. I don't have to go and beg governments to come and do things for me. When I vote for you, you must satisfy my needs and my requirements. A lot of people don't know that. So you hear them on air saying, oh, we are begging the government. You don't have to beg the government. So long as you are paying your taxes, those taxes should go to working for you.
Given this message you're telling us now, might we one day see you as a presidential candidate? In conclusion, will we see you one day? as being the presidential
As I sit here
candidate
now, I
of
haven't thought of running as a presidential candidate,
Candidate.
but who knows? Anything can happen.
Right.
Just as I was driven by Occupy to go and be very, very vocal and to accept to be running mates, I might be driven to, you know.
Thank you for tuning in. This has been Iriscope TV. We look forward to you coming back. Stay tuned. Thank you.